Undertale is an RPG released by Toby Fox in which the player, a human, is trapped within an underground world of monsters, aiming to meet the king of monsters so they can return to the surface. Undertale has a heavy reliance on player choice, meaning regular playthroughs are heavily influenced by player decisions, such as whether to spare your enemies or slaughter them. This leads to drastically different stories and fights depending on how the player plays the game. This essay will discuss Undertale through the lens of narratology, ludology, and ethics. According to the player's journey, Ludology and Narratology in Modern Gaming by Angela Fuchs. Ludology focuses on the rules, systems, and physical gameplay aspects of a game, while narratology focuses mostly on the story within the game. Undertale combines both narratology and ludology by making every action integral to the story, with the player's true goal being to make their own story through their action. Undertale's main selling point is the player's choice and journey throughout the game. Each decision and action is important, even through saves. Saving is a crucial part of Undertale, especially when attempting one of the two unique routes being Pacifist, where you don't kill a single enemy, and Genocide, where you kill every character. Saving and reloading to fix mistakes is heavily used for the first time attempts of these routes. That being said, there are several narrative breaking or meta characters, such as Sans, Flowey, and the player themselves, who persist through saves, meaning they are aware of all actions committed across all saves and all reloads, every death, every kill, every decision. In fact, just starting a second save will cause Flowey, the first NPC you meet, to say this: "Why'd you make me introduce myself? It's rude to act like you don't know who I am." Undertale heavily subverts modern RPG tropes by humanizing its characters. Many modern RPGs, such as Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Oblivion Remastered, choose to humanize their characters to a limited extent, making them feel alive and present in the game world, but not so much so that players are discouraged from killing them to achieve their goals. Undertale, on the other hand, chooses to humanize each and every character as much as possible, despite them being literal monsters. These human-like emotions most keenly present themselves through the Act button during combat. The Act button causes the player to interact with the enemy they are battling. Doing this enough times, or in the right order, will allow the player to spare the enemy, ending combat with a positive outcome. The method and dialogue used for sparing an enemy varies for each enemy, even for early random encounters such as Icecap, who will require you to ignore his cool hat multiple times, only to then steal it and compliment the hairdo he was hiding underneath, building up his self-confidence to the point where he no longer wishes to fight you. Emotion is also heavily present in violent actions as well, seen clearly in the fight with Dogami and Doggeressa, in which killing Doggeressa first will cause Dogami to lose 30 defense and all his attacks but one slow one, showcasing depression at the loss of his beloved. This extra emphasis on emotion and character helps to engross the player in the world. They aren't playing Undertale, they're living in it. While choice might be the selling point of Undertale, the ethics associated with in-game choices are why it became so popular. Having so much impact on a video game world is something seldom seen before its release, and truly allows the player to immerse themselves in the world. As mentioned previously, Undertale makes its NPCs extremely human in the way they act, with deep connections to the player and other NPCs. Many moral dilemmas present themselves because of this, mostly ones involving whether or not to kill or help an NPC. Do you kill the NPC blocking your path or try and convince them you're a good person, creating an ally and friend for the future? An excellent example of this is Toriel. Toriel is the second NPC you meet and is a kind old goat lady with a pure heart. She introduces you to the world of Undertale in the ruins and protects you from harm. Before the player is able to leave the ruins to begin the journey home, Toriel confronts them and begins a battle to keep them safe in the ruins. The Act button does not work in this fight, meaning the player has two options: kill Toriel, the kindest person they've met so far, or let themselves die and end the game. Toriel won't actually kill the player and will let them leave the ruins if they get low enough health, but a first-time player wouldn't know that, leaving it up to their intuition. This level of choice and dilemma is present throughout the game, creating greater immersion and storytelling. Actions have consequences. This philosophy is present in Undertale, especially throughout its genocide route, the route where your goal is to kill everyone and everything that breathes in the underground. Throughout the route, the player is constantly demoralized and encouraged to turn off the game instead of completing it. The genocide route, while having more challenging boss fights, is quite boring to play through. The boredom and frustration experienced are a key part of story and gameplay, and is actually used against you in the most memorable fight of the game, the fight with Sans, where his goal is not to kill you, but to do it so many times that you turn off the game and give up, saving the underground. Aside from the harder fights in the genocide route, the gameplay itself is boring. Because you kill every character, you won't be able to experience the personalities and stories of each. Towns become empty, the music turns somber, and the world itself seems to die alongside its inhabitants. Encounters are also less interesting, as fighting only allows you to time an attack against an enemy, an action that becomes repetitive quickly. There are two ways the game makes you feel guilty for your actions. The first way appears in gameplay, where Sans confronts you in the Judgment Hall, revealing your LV, or levels of violence, and giving you a speech about your misdeeds. The second way relies on the player more. The average player will beat the game in the neutral route before learning about the genocide route, meaning they have to kill characters they have built deep connections with in their first playthrough. Overall, Undertale is an excellent modern example of ethics in video games and the combination of narratology and ludology. It tells a story which the player has great influence over, and gives the average user many moral and ethical choices, truly immersing themselves in its world.